is my therapy. It puts my anxious thoughts to sleep. Helps me focus my attention. Avoid the fear of imperfection. I know it's never too late to sit down and pen another verse. It's how I seem to calm myself down, eternally conversing. There must be millions of us out there who struggle with their words. But when I'm stuck inside my headspace, I'm in a lonely universe. But music is my therapy.
That is a top quality tune. Welcome in again, guys and friends. It is, of course, Monday. It is F1 time. It is time we all sat down, grabbed a beverage, as Steve would say, and just relaxed and listened to us unpack and unfold what happened over the weekend in the Formula One world. As always, if you're watching this back, I don't know why my name's The Draw. Maybe I am The Draw. I don't know. But I'll change that in a second. But of course, if you are watching this back, you can take us anywhere. You can download us and take us anywhere you like. Just search the F1 Fans Show Live. We're on all podcasting platforms. As always, we welcome your interaction. We welcome your views, opinions on all things Formula One. It's been a big weekend. Stephen Thompson, our F1 aficionado, he wrote a fantastic piece available at the HLNetwork.com in which he said he was sat on a sofa with a friend. I hope they were socially distant. Hang on, wait. How was your friend there? It's lockdown.
Social distant, mate. That's right. He lives 5 doors down from me. Evening, by the way. He lives 5 doors down, and we were sitting at two ends of the room, so we're fine.
Okay, but you wrote. No. What did you write about the Grosjean incident? Just paint the scene for the guys at home. What did you thought?
I wrote that. Well, basically, I thought we'd both seen an F1 driver die. Seen an F1 driver lose his life with that was a colossal accident. There was something going on this side of the track, so we're watching that. And then we see an impact on the other side with flames, and they cut away from the crash instantly. And when they do that, you know it's bad. And they didn't show any replays, which is a good thing. But you know it's bad when they instantaneously cut away from it and don't go back to it for a long time. And it was a hell of an impact. I mean, anyone who saw it on TV live, or even watched the replays, but watching it live was shocking because I've never seen a crash like that, and I honestly thought that he wasn't getting out of that. It was awful.
Yeah, and we'll get into obviously a bit more detail when we bring Neil in. But for those that are watching and those that love our shows across the whole network, we have got a very busy week this week. Just to fill you in, myself, Stephen, and Neil are back tomorrow 6:30 for the match day ticket, where Ipswich Town take on Oxford. That's in League One action. Then on Thursday, we've got the Talking Town previews the Plymouth Argyle match with a very special guest. So do tune in for that one. It is the supporters chairman. And of course, at the weekend, the match day ticket. So let's get into the F1. We've got the wheel. The wheel is in action. I've been messing with the wheel all day. I've hopefully got it set and it's ready. You and this man have been sending me your agendas, if you like, for the show. It is, of course, it is our Mr. Worldwide. Tonight, he comes to you from Croydon. Last week was Chorley. This week was Croydon. May have been Bromley last week, actually. I'll just ask him. Mr. Neil Moles, where were you last week?
Bromley.
And the moment I said Chorley, I thought, no, I think he was at Bromley. So we're going for the alphabet, the A to the B to the C. So
that's right.
You live at a place that starts with a D, so we can bypass that one.
All right, I was going to say I'll be in Dunstable next week.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. D, E. So, Steve, we can start predicting where he's going to be week to week.
If you get to Norwich, come and see me.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Are you well?
Living the dream.
Living the dream. Back in Travelodge's finest digs. Do you get a breakfast?
Premier Inn.
Oh, Premier Inn this week. You've upgraded.
I was Premier Inn last week.
Oh, I thought you were in Travelodge. Oh, okay.
No.
Premier Inn. How's the breakfast in the Premier Inn?
I don't think they're doing them. I know at the last place it said, basically due to COVID, there's no breakfast.
Yeah, shocking.
Yes, shocking, Steve. So, what are we drinking this evening as we charge our glasses before we get into the F1 Wheel of Fortune? Steve's got what is that?
I'm on the Guinness tonight. Something different.
You're on the real stuff. Get a Scotch chicken and a real meal there as well.
Cheers.
And Neil's got the coffee. Beautiful. Right, let's bring it in. Let's bring in the wheel. Everyone gets over when a wheel is involved. There it is. We've got some colour coordination. No more yellow and green. I've gone for F1 sort of colours. I hope you think that's appropriate.
There's no blue for Williams.
Well, no, but they narrowly missed out on the points, or in this case, the colour selection chart. They were in the running all day long, and then they weren't.
Yeah.
So we've got on this list, we have got Grosjean scary crash, Stroll upside down, dominance again from Lewis, bemoaning Bottas, of course, double Red Bull podium. Fittipaldi replacing Grosjean for the next race, and Perez did not finish, and Albon's podium save his seat at Red Bull. Before we get into the proceedings, anything else you'd like to add to the wheel?
I think that's pretty good. I think it covered everything, covered all the major talking points.
Perfect. Well, obviously this week we were in Bahrain, so it's the Bahrain Grand Prix that we obviously will be covering. So with that said, Neil, you tell me to click the wheel, and the wheel will be spun.
Go on then.
I mean, come on, that's a top quality tune, mate.
I love that bass line.
I knew you would, that's why I chose it. Stroll upside down. So, talk to me about Stroll upside down. It's upside down. Neil, Stroll upside down.
Hello there.
Hello there. Or would you rather Steve kick us off?
No, I just don't think my internet's as good this week.
Standard.
Yeah, there were a few breaks in that tune. It wasn't as smooth as it probably should have been.
Ah, fair enough. It was a great tune. Steve loved the bass line. He was starting to jam out at home.
It was funky.
It was. So, Steve, Neil, one of you.
But, yeah. This is going good so far.
Stroll upside down. Steve, kick us off while Neil's internet catches up.
Yeah, we'll take the
while we put a new gerbil in the wheel.
It was hard. I started with the start of the race. It was weird, wasn't it? Because you had obviously Grosjean, which obviously we'll come to, races red flagged for a long period of time. And basically, as soon as it got started again and everyone kicked off, instantly a safety car. We saw one name dropping down the order, which was Stroll for a change. And then it cut to his racing point, and it was just upside down on the exit of a corner. And instantly you think, oh, Christ, another one. And his team radio was brilliant because he's on the radio going, guys, I'm upside down. It's like really confused that he's upside down. It was
It's a bit of one of those pathetic ones, but
yeah.
We've had a few drivers where they just cut in too early. It's as if they don't know the size of their car. They won't hold space. They won't hold space for another car, and they just hack across. And basically, he ended up. It was wheel to wheel, wasn't it? And it was quite slow speed, as Martin Brundle said. It was a bit of a, slow affair, and it just ended up just rolling over. But
it was weird because Kvyat was a bit further behind. They were almost sort of like that, and it's quite a tight right-hander, and he sort of really just sent it at the last possible second because Stroll had left him a gap, and then he just instantly shut the door on him and just tipped him over.
That was another brilliant part, there wasn't it? Kvyat was involved in the second as well.
Yeah, both big crashes. Who's involved? Okay.
Talking of Stroll, that amazingly, he's not had a lot of luck, is he? Because he's now scored just once in 7 races, and that was a 9th place in Turkey.
No.
Yeah, it could have been so much more. Pole position in Turkey as well, so we thought at least a podium, especially with that that racing point being a Mercedes, it was going to be amazing.
It's a racing point.
It's a Mercedes.
For legal reasons, it's a racing point.
Okay. Just to clarify, yes. It's not a Mercedes. and he's being well and truly done in by Perez. Perez has missed a couple of races through COVID. Stroll has missed one. But it's almost like when he's come back, because prior to him missing that race, he was doing all right. But since coming back, it's like he's never really got back into the swing of things. Perez did really quickly. But Stroll hasn't really hit the ground again.
No.
And yeah, once did you say 7 races, did you say?
Seven races, yeah.
That's for a car as good as that Racing Point, that's quite appalling, really.
It is when you consider his teammate, Neil, who scored 58 points in that time.
I was absolutely, once again, loving it. Helps McLaren out. And especially when Perez had his DNF, I was rubbing my hands together and doing a bit of a cheer. And yeah, it helps out McLaren big time.
Absolutely. Right, back to the wheels. Steve, you ready?
Go for it.
Let's do it. Here we go. We might start with Neil. Or is it? Oh, it still is Neil. But it's just gone over to did Perez's did not finish and Albon's podium save his seat at Red Bull? Steve, you can kick us off with that one.
No, I don't think it's made it safe because without that DNF, Albon would have still been light years behind Perez. He was a long way behind Verstappen come the finish line. It was purely fortunate for Alex, obviously misfortune for Sergio. As much as I love McLaren, I was gutted for Sergio because he's never scored back-to-back podiums in his career. This was the chance, and he was looking really good, really racy all weekend. Kept his nose clean again, as he always seems to do at races. Now he's so consistent. And then a few laps from the end, that just awful. You're seeing that car smoking, and he was still going around, like, willing it to carry on. But I don't think it saved Albon's. It's maybe taken some of the heat off him, but I don't think it's secured it at all.
Neil?
I still believe it's Albon's seat. I'm still not believing anyone else has actually got their hands on it yet. But on a side note, everyone's saying that, McLaren with that Mercedes engine is going to be quite something. But why are Racing Point having so many failures? How come the manufacturer isn't having all of these issues?
It's tricky, isn't it? The Mercedes is bulletproof. Like the actual Mercedes is bulletproof, more or less.
But why is the Mercedes bulletproof and the pink one isn't?
I don't know. It's tricky, isn't it? Because you could have said the same thing about when McLaren had Honda. Yeah, why were they so unreliable? Yet as soon as they're in the back of a Red Bull, it's fine, more or less. A lot of it maybe comes down to car design. Racing Point will obviously take that Mercedes and modify it, put their own spin on it. Maybe that's part of it. Luck, obviously, is a big part of it. 2016, Hamilton had loads of failures, and he was sort of hinting at a conspiracy against him because he's daft. A lot of it is luck. The Mercedes... The actual Mercedes is more or less bulletproof. But yeah, it is a shame for Sergio because he was having such a good race. He really was.
To put a little bit of meat on the bone for Alex Albon, obviously, you can read on the Formula One website today where it says that Alex Albon can rest a little easier knowing that team principal Christian Horner has said that he's got until in the end of the season certainly to impress. He's still under consideration for 2021. So, is that a sign of belief from Horner, or is that just still a football term where the chairman says, "I've got confidence in you" before he's already made his mind up and you're being gone? How do you view that type of thing from Christian Horner?
I think that he does still have an element of confidence with Albon because with Red Bull, you get the feeling if they had no confidence in him, he'd have gone. They've not shied away from that in the past with Gasly and Kvyat before him. And I think they do want to keep him because he's almost the perfect backup driver to Verstappen. And with a little more fine-tuning and sort of rounding off at the edges sort of thing, he'll be a perfect number 2 to Verstappen. Because he is quick, and on his day, he's a brilliant guy. But he seems to me to be the kind of guy that lets it get on top of him mentally too much. He's had issues in the past, and he's given interviews after the race where he's obviously depressed and down about it. And it seems like he carries it into the next race. And I think that's a big issue with him, because you can't do that. You need to brush it off and crack on.
Has he got to learn to brush it off, as Steve says there, Neil? Do you think that's a big weakness in Albon?
I'm not really sure what's happened to him this season, because last season he was quite good, but then you could sort of say it was his maiden season. You can give him a bit of leeway. And this season, where he needs to kick on, just hasn't happened. And I feel there's like a couple of types of driver. You're either an out-and-out quick driver, like I'd say Hamilton and Verstappen are, or you're a consistent driver, which is more of a Perez and a Hulkenberg. I'd almost say Perez is a little bit between the two. But for me, Albon's a quick driver, not a consistent driver. But he hasn't really been quick or consistent. So, well, consistently poor, I suppose. But
I think
are Red Bull a little bit, because of what happened with Gasly, and they've almost felt a bit burnt from it. Is that the only reason they're backing Albon? They just don't want to jump ship as soon as they did, like with Gasly, and get caught out again.
I think that's a big part of it, yeah, because they've got to take into account that if they do just a quick switch like that after one weekend, they've got to get another driver sorted. There won't be any lack of applicants for that seat, because it's one of the best seats on the grid. But they've got to get that driver up to speed, and he's got to get comfortable with that car. So it's not an easy thing. So they're better off replacing a driver, obviously, over the winter break, where you've got more time. The driver can get to the factory more. He can get to the simulator. He's got immediate access to the new car. I would say they're better off going for someone like Perez, because he's consistent. He may not be the fastest. He's very quick, but he may not be the fastest. But he'll be a perfect teammate to Verstappen.
And before we move on back to the wheel, if I had to press you and say a definite answer, will Alex Albon be back at Red Bull next year? What would your answer be?
No.
Neil?
I'm still yes.
Okay, so you got a yes and a no. That's fine. Right. Neil, you say spin, I'll spin.
Spin.
Top 10 hit that should be. Here we go. Neil, it's your Fittipaldi replacing Grosjean for the next race. Discuss.
I might have came up with it, but I can't actually give that many details, because my first question is, who? I'm guessing that driver. It's a son of the great Fittipaldi, but I have no idea other than that.
He is the grandson of two-time F1 champion Emerson Fittipaldi.
Yep, the great Fittipaldi himself.
And is Haas's current reserve driver, and has attended the majority of F1 races this season with the team. 24 years of age, he previously tested the 18 and 19 car, but he'll get his first taste of 2020 machine when he gets behind the wheel in practice on Friday.
It's quite bad now that you have a driver that's 24 and you, well, for me, instantly think he's not really that young anymore.
True.
When you got the likes of Verstappen coming in, he can't even drive on the roads of quite a few of the places he went to when he first started racing, and then you got someone who's 24.
It's weird, isn't it? It is strange, because he's not a young guy. There's guys racing permanently, like you say, Verstappen, Stroll, I think, as well. Really young guy. Interested to see. It'll be the first time the Fittipaldi name has been on the grid for a long time. Emerson was a fantastic driver. Hopefully that's passed down. Obviously, Pietro is not going to have the best car, and he's not got a lot of time to get practiced for it and get sort of up to speed. But it could be a decent thing for him, because his name has not been in the frame for a drive next year. But if he performs well, I don't know if he's got enough points in his super license. He must have if he's driving. So ignore that.
If they've put him forward, I guess the hoops must have been jumped.
To give you some information on him, I'm just reading it here. It says Fittipaldi began racing single seaters in 2013 after getting his start in karts. He won the Formula V8 3.5 Championship in 2017 with 6 wins, 10 podiums, and a series record 10 pole positions before his career took him to IndyCar endurance racing and in 2019 to the DTM. He's made 7 test appearances for Haas since 18, the most recent of which was 19's young driver test in Abu Dhabi.
Was the last driver that came from DTM Paul di Resta?
Yep.
And he didn't exactly do amazingly.
No, Force India, wasn't it? All he did was moan. And he had a one-off return with Williams a few years back when Massa was unwell. And Raikkonen, he got in the way of Kimi Raikkonen. And Raikkonen was on the radio set because di Resta's usually a reporter. And he sort of made this one-off return. And Raikkonen just said, look, just get this guy out of the way. You should stick to the reporting. Oh dear, Raikkonen's not happy.
There's no way he can force his way into the F1 regular seat rotation, really. Is there, in terms of anywhere? Like, obviously Hulk came back, had a few good races, but that's the Hulk. There's no way that he does it. Not even with 1 or 2 races that are.
Well, when you've got all of the Ferrari youngsters pushing their way through F2 and the likes of Hulkenberg and Perez on the sidelines and whoever else is potentially, waiting there, I can't really see, unless he absolutely blows Magnussen away, he's not really going to... He is just a fill-in, isn't he, for the couple of races we've got left.
Certainly is. Welcome in, JD. No, we've not talked about Grosjean just yet. I get a feeling we're getting round to it. But we'll bring the wheel back in as time is ticking. Ready, Steve?
Go for it.
Let's go. I just like picking the wheel so I can hear the song. Epic tune. All right. Double Red Bull. Double Red Bull podium. Talk to me about that one.
Yeah, that was all right, wasn't it? First double Red Bull podium since 2017. Obviously, Albon's second career podium. It's weird to think that a team that was once as dominant as Red Bull has not shared a podium since 2017. That's quite an incredible, not achievement, but an incredible run.
Why is that?
A mixture. Red Bull. They can be the architects of their own downfall sometimes. They had a very hotly contested 2018 season with Verstappen and Ricciardo. They've had, obviously, Mercedes to contend with. And the Mercedes is both insanely fast and insanely bulletproof. I think Hamilton hasn't retired from a race in over 2 years, which is fantastic. Well, it's not, but if you're a Hamilton fan, it is. And so that basically there's only going to be one chance or one car on the podium that isn't the Mercedes 9 times out of 10. And Verstappen's quicker, so it's going to be him. But
got lucky though, didn't they?
Very lucky. It was only going to be Verstappen on the podium. But for Perez having that power failure just before the end, Albon was probably counting his lucky stars there because, I think we discussed earlier.
Was Albon ever going to catch Perez?
No. That would have been a 4th place for Albon, definitely.
But it was a better race for
Wasn't even close, was it?
No. It was a good race, but he got a decent start. He jumped Bottas off the line. Brilliant start.
Mm-hmm.
But
he lacks.
He was in the. You could say he was in the ballpark of where he should have been all season.
Well,
at the very bare minimum.
I mean, to be fair, with even the 4th place would have been good because if, obviously, for example, you're going to have Mercedes 1 and 2, realistically, you're going to have Red Bull 3 and 4 because that's the next quickest car, apart from maybe Racing Point if they're up thereabouts. So Albon was basically where you'd expect him to be, and then obviously benefited from that issue with Perez. But yeah, I'm surprised it's taken this long, but I think hopefully we'll see it a few more times in the near future.
Absolutely. Right, you ready, Neil?
Yep.
Let's do it. 3 left to come out. We've got Grosjean, obviously, to talk about. Bottas and Hamilton. Where's it going? Oh, here it comes, Steve. It's Bemoaning Bottas. Again, I think he's written. Of course, rather. So, Bottas.
Has he written a piece for this?
I did an article, yeah. Of course.
Bottas. Bemoan your man.
Is it me or Neil?
It's you for bemoaning Bottas, trust me.
Oh, fantastic.
We sit back and watch.
Yeah, that was another good weekend for Bottas. No, it wasn't. Because he's saying, obviously, Hamilton got pole position again. Bottas was second again. And he just sounded resigned to it. It's like, yeah, well, hopefully I can get a good start and take the fight to him. If I can get ahead, then brilliant. But he made an awful start. Hamilton was in a different postcode, I think Mark Brundle said, by the end of turn one. He was passed by Ricciardo, Perez, Verstappen, Albon, I think, got him as well. And then obviously we had Grosjean's crash, the race is red flagged. And rather than doing a rolling start, they lined up on the grid again. Hamilton again, ninja start off the line, and Bottas again, a poor start. And he just dropped right down. I think he got a puncture as well, so he was dropped right back. And he just never looked like getting himself back up the order, never looked like challenging for serious points. He was fighting with the likes of McLaren. I think there was one of him, I think I saw a shot of him trying to get past on Williams, which is a bit like, you know, in a Ferrari, not being able to get past a Skoda. It's, you know... I'm not even one of the nice German Skodas. I'm not the nice German. I'm talking about the old Skodas. You know, like a Skoda Fabric. It's come on, guys. But he just couldn't do it, and then he just.
I think you'd have to go beyond Fabric to get one of the old rear-engined ones.
My mum had one of them ones. That was a brilliant little car. It was amazing. Skoda Rapide, brilliant machine.
While we're on Bottas, talk to me about Hamilton. Won again, Neil. Great race. He is the GOAT. No questions.
Don't do that.
Absolutely no questions. I like after the race, he ended up congratulating the team and saying it was a lot harder than everyone perceives it to be. Red Bull pushed us. Did they? What? The fact that we weren't shown any of the, the hardships, it didn't look it. He just drove his race and it was comfortable. It was way ahead.
Yeah,
it's the GOAT. Of course, he's way ahead.
He never got close to getting the fastest lap, though, did he? That was always Verstappen's.
Oh, Verstappen nailed that, didn't he?
Yeah, there must have been something for Hamilton that made it difficult, that he was nursing something with the car. Because, yeah, he never looked close to getting that. But he still finished miles up the road.
As he always does. That's what he does.
He's so lucky.
No, you don't. You're confusing luck with greatness. He is. Great.
He is lucky. He was lucky in Turkey. He was lucky in Silverstone when his tyre blew. If that had blown 3 corners earlier, Verstappen would have had him. If that safety car, I can see why they ended the race under the safety car yesterday, because obviously Perez's car was still right by the side of the road. If they'd have called the safety car out and called that in a lap earlier, Verstappen, I reckon, would have had him. But we'll never know. But obviously, I'm not saying that luck was a part of it yesterday, because he was just miles ahead. But no safety car, he would have won that, no question. But
in time for lunch.
Yeah, he's done. Everyone else is still racing.
Talking about luck, let's bring it round now to a man who's very lucky, and we're also pleased that he was lucky. And I think a lot needs to be said about the rescue team that got out to incredibly quick. Obviously, in the FIA medical car team, Dr. Ian Roberts, driver Alan I've lost it.
Van der Merwe.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Incredible response, but what a scary situation. Talk us through this crash, guys. What you saw, what you think. The halo is being criticised on this show, let's be honest, but yesterday it saved a life.
I just remember watching it, and Gemma was in the other room, and she just heard my outburst and thought, what on earth's going on? And it was horrific. When you see, say, an 80s style explosion of a car, you just think Nicky Lauda moment.
Yeah. I've been watching Formula One 20 years, maybe a bit more. I've never seen a car split in two, which is what they're supposed to do, because they break apart, obviously, to absorb impact. I've never seen a car do that, and I've never seen a car just go up instantly like that. And the second that the replays cut away, the second the cameras cut away from that and didn't go back to it, you knew it was serious. And I honestly thought we had seen an F1 driver lose his life. And then you saw the aftermath. Oh man, it's okay.
Without the titanium rod that's on the front of that halo, even that was crushed and bent over, wasn't it?
It was shocking.
Saw it, the toothpick wedged between the barriers that ended up getting bent and twisted out the way. Yeah, he skewered that nicely. But yeah, without that titanium rod on that halo, we would have seen a really bad thing.
Well, he probably
would have
he probably would have lost his head this speed because he hit the barrier at 140 miles an hour. And it's all down to, I suppose, luck and the angle he hit the barrier. Because if the barrier's there, if it had gone into it sort of sideways or the other way, it had just sort of ricocheted off. But the way he went into it, first.
Yeah, the fact that he cut across and ended up basically going head on straight into this barrier, because they were saying it comes on towards the track at about 30 degrees. So if you almost think that if it did go more along the side and not come in at 30 degrees, it would have been more of a graze along the side.
Yeah.
But then you'd almost have, say, a Kubica Canada moment instead. But yeah, the fact that it split apart, ended up, skewered the barrier, and he got out of the car the wrong side of the barrier.
It's insane, isn't it? Because and he had to clamber over that burning barrier. Yeah. I mean, I've never been a fan of the halo aesthetically because it's not a pretty thing.
Horrendous thing, yeah. But it done its job.
You can't deny it. And Belgium a couple of years ago, when Alonso went over the top of Leclerc, that probably saved Leclerc's life, and it's blatantly saved Grosjean's life yesterday. So it may be ugly, but you either have an ugly car with a safer driver in it, or a prettier car with a dead driver. What would you rather have? So,
yeah, it's just shocking. Never seen it before in my life.
Hopefully you never will, but well done to the medical team as well, because they were straight on the scene. That medical car, Van der Merwe grabbed an extinguisher and he's extinguishing Romain as he's climbing over the barrier.
How he's walked away with little injuries.
Have you seen
broken ribs and burns?
Man. He hasn't got broken ribs, not even broken ribs.
Has he not?
Just burns the back of his hands.
Oh, okay.
Because they thought, I think when I wrote my article as well, they thought he might still have broken ribs.
Yeah.
But he posted a video on Instagram last night, and I think Haas posted it on their page, and it's basically him. He's got his arms up in slings with all of his hands bandaged, and he said, "I'm okay," sort of. And he posted one again this morning. He should be out tomorrow if all goes well, which is good. I mean, I've never been a Grosjean fan, but you never want to see that.
I liked him back in the Lotus days when he was Raikkonen's teammate.
He was all right then, wasn't he? Good driver.
Yeah. But he's just sort of petered off, really, and it was horrendous to see.
The sad thing is, he's got a long F1 career, quite a successful career, because he more than took the fight to Raikkonen. He's got a decent amount of podiums to his name. He's done all right for Haas, given what he's got, and that could be the last time we see him in an F1 car, which is quite a shame.
I also, remember when he was on it in Formula One. There's the Race of Champions, isn't it? And he done really well in that. And and then he's basically just, petered out, and and then this incident happens. But someone ended up saying that he's got a young family, I think 3 boys, and this crash is basically putting an end to his F1 career, and he can go off and enjoy his family now.
Yeah,
being lucky and happy that he's still there.
Yeah, I think if I'll be sort of caught in two minds. It's unlikely. Well, he's obviously not racing this weekend. It's unlikely he'll race in the next one. If I was Grosjean, I'd be disappointed that you don't get to see off your F1 career in a more relaxed sort of way. Just enjoy your last race.
He'll drive next week.
You do?
I do.
Hopefully, I hope so, because it's a shame for someone like him who's been around as long as he has to have his career ended. But I mean, unfortunately, some drivers have had their careers ended by death, which you never want. But to have your career ended by this nasty accident, it's not the right way to go. So I hope he does drive next week.
I think obviously I don't know the guy personally, but I think they're all winners. They're all They are all athletes themselves. They all want to be the best. I don't think he'll want to go out in that way. I think he'll want to go out as the driver, not the lucky man.
Would he also maybe think of it sort of like, well, okay, I've got a young family. Maybe this was its way of telling me to stop now.
That's like the old way, isn't it? The mindset of drivers now is they pretty much feel safe, don't they? These things, even though we've had a couple now, they generally don't happen anymore. But you back to the 70s and 80s and things and previous, it was an occurrence happened all the time. Pretty much, if you survived one of those, you wouldn't get straight back in a car because you're lucky to be here.
Mm.
Whereas now, it's not quite the same attitude, is it? You think the moves they pull, you know they've got confidence in the machinery being able to take a hit.
Yeah, he's just as likely to say, "Well, I've had my one now."
Yeah, there is that.
And some will have that mentality. I've had my one now. And
I thought he did have broken ribs, but if he, as you say, he hasn't, then there's no real reason. As long as the burns he's got on his wrists and hands is not too severe, then yeah.
I think if this weekend had been if he had a longer recuperation time, I think he wouldn't have missed any time at all. That's my personal feeling. So I haven't got any inside track or anything silly like that. It's just a personal feeling upon sort of reading what I've read. But what a scary moment. I know as a new guy to F1, you always say, oh, yeah, you like collisions, you like that excitement. There's collisions, and then there's that. That was too much. That was
crashes are exciting, not in a morbid or macabre way. But if you see a car go off,
clipping, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm sorting something. Cars coming together like the Stroll Kvyat thing.
Yeah,
he wasn't going to be injured in that.
No.
Cars going off and cars kind of clipping a barrier, and you see a wheel or wings. That's exciting. You think, "Way, yeah, it's a spectacle." But then you see that, and it's just a whole other world.
Just the way
you think, "All right, I don't mind a crash, but that's deadly."
As they described how they'll look into it is as if it's an aeroplane crash, in which basically it was.
Yeah,
you just had this dart hitting a barrier at over 100 miles an hour, and yeah. They'll piece together everything that did happen, everything that could have happened, and see how they can make it better. Because someone said that the barrier shouldn't do what it did. It shouldn't have split apart and twisted like it did.
It shouldn't do, no.
And obviously the tethers, they're not infinitely strong, and we had wheels come off. But luckily no one got hit by them. And the fact that Grosjean, the car, first off, was the winning part of the whole thing because it was the only bit that didn't seem to fail, and he was able to get out, because that was the other thing. If he had have been, out and they had to go in that for fire to pull him out of it, that would have been a different scenario.
Absolutely. Yeah. And obviously, you mentioned the barrier there, and I know that can be something the F1 world learns from and changes and adapts, and now they know. Is there anything else people will say? Is there anything else that they can learn from this? Anything they could have done differently to avoid?
Well, I know the with the medical staff and things, they have open crash helmets and things. So I think they're now going to go for more, say, the race and driver style, where it's a fully enclosed thing. Because if they had to have gone into the flames, they have all the insulated, undergarments, flame retardant undergarments and things. But yeah, the fact that the crash helmets are open, they're now going to make them enclosed. That was one thing I heard.
That's good. Yeah. Fingers crossed we won't have this scenario for a long time, but you never know, do you?
Sadly not. But that's the way. So looking ahead to the next race, Steve, performance, what's going on? Where are we?
Staying in Bahrain, but it's for the Sakhir Grand Prix. And we're not using the standard layout. We're using the outer layout. They're calling it an oval. It's not an oval. But it's really good. I think there's going to be like sub 1 minute laps, which is awesome. If what I've read is to be believed.
I think we're going to go to almost old Hockenheim
Yeah, actually, yeah, essentially, isn't it? Because you've got long straights followed by the odd little corner. So yeah, it should be really good. It's going to benefit Mercedes, but every track does. Racing Point as well. So I think those
this
two
is one that McLaren's going to lose out on, because I think there's no McLaren's strengths are fast corners, and there won't be any. It will be slow corners by a long straight. So I think that plays more into Renault.
I think the three teams it's going to hurt: McLaren, Ferrari, and Williams. Because McLaren, like you say, fast corners, and both Ferrari and the Williams are quite draggy cars. So I think it's got, mind you, any Formula One track hurts a Williams. Driving hurts a Williams, but I think that it's going to hurt them more.
Okay, who's going to win it?
No,
it's going to be him again, isn't it?
Will Williams get a top 10?
No.
Wow. Simultaneous there. Brilliant. Will Norris get a top 4?
No.
Wow.
I think it's if all things go as it should, it'll be the Mercedes, it'll be the Red Bulls, it should be the Racing Points, and it should be the Renaults that should technically fill out the top, and without any unforeseen, incidents.
If all goes as it should, be. Mercedes 1-2, and I'm going to say Perez in third, because that's going to benefit that car. So I think he's going to be quicker than the Red Bulls. Red Bulls will be good around the top bit of the circuit where you've got a few sort of quick left and rights. But I think the straight line speed is going to have them. So Hamilton, Bottas, Perez is my top 3.
Sounds fair, to be fair.
Okay. Well, we'll be back this time next Monday. Well, a bit earlier, 8 o'clock.
If I wanted to change it, I could say potentially put Ricciardo in that third.
Okay.
Good call.
Are you going to, or you potentially could, but are you going to?
I'm going to completely change it on its head. I'm going to go Hamilton. Bottas is going to have another absolute mare, and it's going to be Perez and Ricciardo.
That's the good top 3. Apart from the first place, that's second and third are good.
Yeah. Well, even second. Do you like second place, do you, Bottas?
Oh, I love Perez.
He said.
No, Neil said Perez.
Oh,
Perez Ricciardo.
All right. Well, we'll be back 8 p.m. Monday night to pull it all apart and discuss it, and hopefully we'll have plenty to talk about. With love, with care. Steve, lead us out.
Thanks very much for watching. As always, we'll see you next week at Monday at 8 p.m. Hopefully, as Martin said, we'll have a decent race, lots to talk about. Hopefully, nothing negative to talk about with regards to crashes and things. Hopefully. Well, I mean, I want a Bemoaning Bottas section, but I also don't. But, solid. Let's Bemoaning Bottas again. Let's do it. It's always good fun. It's the best bit.